I'm gonna be more normal now. Maybe Shayla could even be my girlfriend. I'll go see those stupid Marvel movies with her. I'll join a gym. I'll heart things on Instagram. I'll drink vanilla lattes. I'm gonna lead a bug-free life from now on. Anything to protect my perfect maze. Shit. But that's a slippery slope. There's a powerful group of people out there that are secretly running the world. I'm talking about the guys no one knows about, the guys that are invisible. The top 1% of the top 1%, the guys that play God without permission.
If there was one physical subject, one material subject that we should focus on, in my opinion, it is very clear that the head of the snake is the financial system. We can argue till the end of time about who runs the world. Is it the Jesuits? Is it the reptilians? Is it the Illuminati? Is it the Freemasons? We can go on and on and on and on about this. But I don't think it is reasonable to even begin arguing about the mechanism that is used to exert this control. The mechanism is finance. The whole point of finance is to indebt, otherwise to enslave. What is a mortgage? I mean, what does that stand for? It's a death grip. So when you get a mortgage, you have a death grip held over you because you are in debt. You don't even own the house. The bank owns the house that loans you the money to buy the house, unless you're fortunate enough to have all the money to buy it outright. And even then, you can be taxed by the government, and if you fail to keep up with those taxes, the government can then take it from you. The whole system is based on a financial fraud, which effectively takes the power that we have, and it gives it to a tiny group of individuals who are running the world through the control of finance.
One of the greatest tricks pulled on all of us Western civilized folks is that we all think we're free, right? You think you're free. Nobody's free.
You get to vote on a representative. These people are going to represent you once they get into office. And think about some of the laws that are in place that protect corporations. Think about some of the laws that are in place that fuck people over every day. They wouldn't be there if people were voting for them. We all have this desire to have someone lead us. We all have this feeling where we need someone who's smarter and wiser, who represents us. You know, and when you're really fucking dumb, the problem is really dumb people, they get a say in everything too. And they're subject to a lot of tricks. They're subject to nationalism. They're subject to these kind of ridiculous rah, rah, rah America speeches that don't say jack shit. They say nothing. It's all just this cheerleading fucking event. And they're subject to it. They can't help it. They're dumb. They don't know they're being bullshitted. They grew up around dumb people. They go to work with dumb people. There's no one in their family that's interesting or asks any questions at all. And they just get sucked right into it, man. And I don't think it should be an escape. I don't think you should ever escape reality. You're here. This is life. You know, life can be a magical, fucking intense, fantastic experience if you manage it correctly. But if you just want to escape all the time, I've got to think that you're probably fucking up in this life, and that's imbalanced. You know, you can have a fucking fantastic life. The problem is it's just difficult to do. It's hard to keep your shit together. It's hard not to lose your temper. It's hard not to, you know, be obsessed with something and get sidetracked. And that's what like gambling addictions and masturbation addictions and all that shit. That's what that's all about. It's like you're trying to distract yourselves from all the pain of being a human. You know.
What is it about society that disappoints you so much?
Oh, I don't know. Is it that we collectively thought Steve Jobs was a great man, even when we knew he made billions off the backs of children? Or maybe it's that it feels like all our heroes are counterfeit. The world itself's just one big hoax. Spamming each other with our running commentary bullshit masquerading as insight, our social media faking as intimacy. Or is it that we voted for this? Not with our rigged elections, but with our things, our property, our money. I'm not saying anything new. We all know why we do this, not because Hunger Games books makes us happy, but because we want to be sedated. Because it's painful not to pretend. Because we're cowards.
When you see thousands of people that are innocents that got killed by drones, 1 million innocents killed in Iraq, if that's not a crime against humanity, what is a crime against humanity? this society is so greedy, we're willing to go to war. We're willing to go places and send these big metal machines that kill people and fuck people up just so we can make more money. And the way our society is set up, I mean, I've heard it argued, and argued successfully, that our society runs on war.
We're all slaves, we just think we're free, which is the best type of slavery. You're not trying to revolt, you're not trying to kill anyone to escape, you're just gonna do your job and you think, yeah, I'm free, I can say what I want, I can do what I want to. Cool. No, not at all. And the system is set up so that we just pay. That's it. You're just supposed to pay money. Your job as a man is literally shut the fuck up, work, pay your taxes, don't ask any questions, put your money into some bank account where someone else is going to make money off your money. Inflation takes away any interest you would make on your money anyway. Get to a point where you can maybe survive on a retirement, and by the time you get there, you're too old and frail to do anything anyway, and you never actually demand change, you never start any revolutions, you don't ask any questions. You're just supposed to shut the fuck up and pay your taxes. That's it. That's your role. Having kids, great. They make more money off you when you have kids, and the kids drag you down because you're so worried about feeding them. You're not going to ask questions. Why are we paying 45% taxes? Why are we spending billions of dollars on nuclear programs when we could use that money to all have better lives? You're not going to ask that question. You're too fucking busy feeding yourself and feeding your kids. You're not going to ask questions. You're just going to work. Oh shit, I need to work 10 hours a day now just to eat. Oh, I need to work 12 hours a day. Well, you're so busy working, you're not going to ask the question.
You can't criticize it. Because if you criticize it, you're a shithead, you don't appreciate the troops and what they're doing for you, and that's not the case at all. I just don't like the idea of these fucking people leading us in any direction where you need to sacrifice your life. I don't believe it. I don't believe them. When there's been so many fucking lies. I mean, the more you look it up, the more, I mean, go into any of the stories on the weapons of mass destruction before we invaded and compare them to what we actually know that they really knew when they said that. It's like they did it on purpose. They wanted to get in there for whatever fucking reason. And if it's some crazy, the world is going to end if we don't stop this, but we can't tell you shit, like, I would love to believe you. I would love to believe that the reason why you're not telling us exactly what the fuck is going on is because you're really protecting us from some insanely evil thing that if we knew about it, society would collapse. But our strong, brave, powerful leaders are going to guide us without our knowledge. I would love to believe you. If you weren't all full of shit.
We're going to have to step back and look at it all in a different way. And I don't think you're going to get that from just voting for president and dealing with all this nonsense that we have right now with the two-party system. We're spinning our wheels. We're not getting any traction. This is all nonsense. It's the same nonsense with Obama that we dealt with Bush. Special interest groups controlling what people say and do and what direction the country goes in and save us from the bad guys. Shut the fuck up, man. It's the same nonsense. Operation Northwoods was something that was plotted out during the 1960s, signed by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, where they were going to fake terrorist attacks on American civilians and blame it on the Cubans so we could go to war with Cuba. It involved a bunch of shit, like blowing up a jetliner. They were going to have a drone jetliner and blow it up and say that people died on it. And this was going to get everybody fired up about going to war with Cuba. They were even going to attack Guantanamo Bay. They were going to arm Cuban friendlies to attack Guantanamo Bay so that we would have to go to war with Cuba. This is like our own government. They plotted this out. This is like real shit. I remember when I saw JFK, the Oliver Stone movie. And that was like part of the premise that JFK, that Oliver Stone was pushing in this film, is that they killed JFK because they wanted to stay in Vietnam because they were making a lot of money in Vietnam. And I remember at the time seeing that movie going, that is absolutely ridiculous. Who the fuck believes that? Are they going to start wars and keep wars going just so that they can make money, even though it's not a real war, it's not a just war? Nobody wants to go to war. That's stupid hippie bullshit. Well, as I got older and I started investigating history, you know, from way back to Vietnam, to the Gulf of Tonkin, to all the shit that happened when Kennedy and Nixon were in office, to all the shit that happened with Reagan and the Contras in Nicaragua and the Sandinistas, and all the different various things that have happened in human history where it's clear that the United States is, you know, we're fucking around with all kinds of things all the time to make money. And that there's a bunch of people that are profiting off of war. And then they're not just profiting like a little bit of money here and there. You look at like what's going on with how much money Halliburton made from the war. We're talking like billions and billions of dollars. That's like real money. Eisenhower leaving office, and he's giving a speech warning the American people about the power of the military-industrial complex. You know, when you watch that, you're like, whoa, here is a sitting president who's leaving office, but the most important thing that he wants to tell people is that you have to be careful because there's a machine here that wants to go to war. There's a business behind going to other countries and fucking people up and taking their shit, and they come up with reasons to do this, and they sacrifice American lives to do this, and they do it for profit. And it sounds absolutely ridiculous. It sounds absolutely outrageous that the greatest country on earth could be involved in something like that from the get-go. But yet, that's what history says. That's how it points. It points in that direction. It points in that direction that it's going in.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes.
Here's reality, and this is where it's going to sound really strange.
With the infinite supply of money that we have allowed them to take, they have literally an infinite supply of money, and with that money, and from their psychopathic point of view, they have bought everything and everyone who can be bought. So those of us who cannot be bought, because we operate on a level that goes way beyond the material, we are not rewarded for such behavior, we are punished for such behavior. And the most slovenly, disgustingly criminal, pedophilia, corrupt moral individuals, those are the ones that are rewarded in this system, which is upside down. We reward the pedophiles, we reward the corrupt, we reward the liars, we reward the people with no morals at all, and usually we compromise them under this system in terms of maybe a videotape. Maybe Barack Obama is gay. Maybe we have videotape of him having sex with another man, or perhaps some other acts that may be not so popular amongst many of the electorate. Or maybe we have videos of political leaders having sex with little boys or little girls. If I was in charge of the world and I was a psychopath and completely drunk on my own power, you can bet damn sure that's what I would do. I wouldn't allow anyone in a position of power who wasn't completely compromised. When you have an infinite supply of money, you can do this. Take that supply of money away, take that power back, put it in the hands of the people, get rid of fractional reserve banking, which is an obscenity in itself. Listen to the lessons of Jesus Christ. If you're a Christian who got really pissed off when he went to the temple and he saw what the money changers were doing, let's take back control of the issuance of money, and not just on a national level, but on every country's level. They should be issuing their own currency in a transparent, non-usury based way, in which it really, truly benefits the people. And in that way, we can literally free ourselves of the banking debt which is drowning us all, and we can stop scrambling for the crumbs from the table of these filthy rich psychopaths and live in a state of abundance just by changing this one thing. And I'm not just talking about abundance for Western nations who have an artificially inflated value with their currencies. We all in the West are guilty of having that reward while the rest of the world is sucking on it. Every nation in the world can use a sensible financial policy to liberate themselves, to have world-class education, infrastructure. Everything that a healthy society would require can be had in the worst, most corrupt African country in any part of the world. We can all have that if we simply change that one thing. John F. Kennedy did that about 6 months before he was taken out. He issued United States notes as opposed to Federal Reserve notes. I can assure you the powers that be knew the power of that act, and they took him right out. So the bottom line is, if we as people understand this very simple principle, just this one thing, change this one thing, we can solve every other problem you can name. I don't care what the problem is. I can bring it back to the financial system and an infinite supply of money for a bunch of psychopaths who are running the world, as opposed to an abundant supply of money for all of us. So in that sense, I'm very optimistic. This is not rocket science. I am not the smartest guy in the room. We can all understand this. And as soon as we do, we can exercise the same power that we had, but relinquished, and we can have a future for ourselves and our children. There's a lot to be optimistic about, quite frankly.
I grew up in the U.S. and I see all these people like, yeah, nuke everybody in the Middle East and kill them all. And then they have the former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright on 60 Minutes, one of the most popular news shows in the U.S. And they ask her, they said, like, there's reports that more than 500,000 Iraqi children have died as a direct result of U.S. sanctions. And she looks back at her with a straight face and she goes, "It was a really tough decision, but I think that it was worth it." Worth murdering 500,000 kids because of what the government did? And I apologize for crying, but it just disgusts me from my core when I see government people murdering people around the world. It's not just theoretical. These are real people with real lives. And it's real people, and Bitcoin has the power to undermine everything they're doing to people around the world. And I'm sorry for shouting, but it just disgusts me what these people in government do. And they do it through central banking and through the control of the money supply, and Bitcoin takes that away from them.
I mean, look, Obama thought he was going to change things. Look what happened when he got into office. Guy wins the fucking Nobel Prize and then sends 30,000 more troops to Afghanistan. If he really thought that he was going to be able to do anything differently once you get in office, once you get in there, you kind of understand. You're dealing with a machine that is just fucking beyond your comprehension, so intertwined with corruption. But this is what you can do. What you can do is what we're doing. What you can do is what anybody out there is doing who's showing a more positive example and giving you a more fun and happy way to live your life. You inspire people to potentially live along those same lines. And that's what you can do. And that's what you can do with art, and that's what you can do with writing, and that's what you can do with any form of expression, and that's what you can do if you express yourself and let people know that that's how you're living, and this is the fun way to do it, man. You don't have to be a cunt. You don't have to be a douchebag. You don't have to be out there raping the world. Like, that's not the right way to go about it. It's not fun. You just need a lot of people to recognize that vision and see it and realize, hey, we are only here for a short amount of time. If you go around saying it's all about me, living life like a fucking douchebag, when it's all over, you're going to have just a wreck of a life. You're not going to be enjoying yourself. You're not going to be having a good time through this fucking thing. If we can all recognize that, we really could put this place in a different frequency. We really could make human beings respond and behave on a better level than we're doing now. But the only way that we're going to do it is to electrify the young. You gotta get in their head. You gotta inspire these people. There's people out there that are hearing some of the shit that you're saying, the shit that Brian's saying, some of the shit that Duncan says on this podcast. They're hearing all this shit, and it's ringing in their mind. They're hearing Eddie's stories. You know, when Eddie starts talking about jiu-jitsu and breaking down life and breaking down his own ability to figure out things. And, when people hear about shit like that, man, it gets you thinking. And you start questioning, like, how have I been managing my life? Have I been doing the same thing? I will now be inspired to manage my life in a similar fashion and live in a happy, positive way, and don't get stuck in some fucking trap. And don't think that this thing isn't permanent, because it's not permanent. If you go around living like, you can just keep up with this shitbag life, and eventually someday you're going to get a nap. You're going to get a point in your life where you can settle down and relax. Well, that point's not fucking happening, man. That's not going to happen. Shit begets shit, and it's just going to get worse because your health is going to fail on you. If you really want to change the world, you have to inspire young people. That's how you change the world. The world isn't people that don't have mortgages. The world isn't people that can still create new things. The world isn't people that can still take chances because they don't have to worry about coming home to take care of their kids. The world is in chances, man. You can still inspire chances. You can still inspire thinking. You can still inspire positive energy. Keep it together, bitches.